Hello, warriors. I'm so glad you're here with me today. And I have a very, very special guest that I'm so excited to be on here. We met in cyber there. Yeah, virtually. She's across the country in Georgia. And I look forward to the day that we get to meet actually in person. We have many things in common. And I just would like to introduce to you Dr. Amy Behimer. She's the host of Autoimmune Health Secrets and the founder of the Club Habit Hub coaching program, which is phenomenal. I suggest everybody look at that. She's a pharmacist, board certified health coach, and someone living with MS who's passionate about helping people with autoimmune disease feel better without doing more or being perfect. I love that.
Okay.
Amy loves turning habit science into real life, feel good strategies that actually work, especially on the hard days. So, this is so amazing. Amy is definitely a warrior and she's out there helping other people. And I love that you've opened and spread your spear of not just people with multiple sclerosis, although there's a lot of us, but people with autoimmune. And you probably have the numbers, but boy, the numbers have definitely increased in the last few years. I'm not sure if it's because I've heard different things. They're better at diagnosing, it's chemicals, it's who knows. But is that
Yeah.
true?
Yeah. A little bit of everything. It's increasing also in pediatrics. So
Oh,
more and more kids are getting autoimmune diseases. I mean, the best guess is related to things happening in our environment. It also is increasing the number of specific diagnoses. So all the time they're finding new autoimmune antibodies, and I'm not quite sure what this is or what that is. So it's an evolving field. And I appreciate you saying that about serving people with autoimmune disease because while we are all so unique, we are all a lot alike. And you really
mhm.
could come into my world without any disease and feel better and get
Mm.
healthier. Because at the end of the day, we are human bodies that thrive on things that feel good, when we can give it the things that it needs to thrive. And so it's just, yeah, I love speaking to any diagnosis because I'm so confident that once we meet each other, it may be because of this autoimmune word, but then we really quickly shift to what do we want in life and what feels like it's getting in the way. A lot of times it's a diagnosis,
Mm.
and we find reroutes to get around those diagnoses to still feel and do the things that we want to do for a full life.
Yeah. It's so funny. I have this is funny. I know it's probably not on your protocol, but I have a visual of wine. You have horizontal tastings and you have vertical tastings, and it's kind of the same with autoimmune. You have horizontal and vertical
Yeah.
similarities.
Well,
And
here's the best part is that the anything is on your protocol. I love to help people create, I call them feel good habit protocols because if they don't feel good, then why in the world we want to keep coming back to them? And
exactly.
anything you want to put on it goes on it.
Mm. Yeah.
So if a glass of wine in a celebratory setting or
Hmm.
on a Friday night or any way that you're choosing you want to have it, if you can follow through on that, that's beautiful. It's usually when we're doing things in a way that feels like it's against our will, like we're drinking more than we want or eating more sugar than we want. That's when things become a problem. And that's a really cool problem to solve. It's like, how do we
Mm.
turn down this desire for the over extra that the modern world has created us to be? We want more and more and more.
God, that's so true. You are singing to the choir here because I just did a whole 30 cleanup and it felt so good. And I was just talking to my daughter, I can see why they call it 30 days because then I kind of extended it 7, but I'm like, okay, I'm bored.
Yeah.
Okay. And I
Yep.
know that I'm not big on dairy. Dairy just doesn't do well with me.
Yeah.
And it's got to be small amounts along with sugar, unless it's
Yeah.
coconut sugar, but still. But yeah, I gotta incorporate some new stuff there because
Yeah.
because then when you start to feel deprived, that's when you go crazy. It's not the
Yeah.
1 cup of popcorn, it's the whole bag.
It's the whole bag. Oh my
I've
gosh.
been
I call them
I've been there.
Oh, been there. I call them
Tell me.
small, crunchy things in bags. Because think about it, that's a
Yes.
even if it's gluten-free or even if it's quote cassava or all the quote unquote healthy ingredients and oils, they still have processed the shit out of it. They
Yes.
still have formulated in a lab to hit your satiety and your bliss point in your mouth.
Yep.
And there are people in a boardroom trying to get you to eat more of it. So that's my definition. Sometimes I help people become a sugar snob, which
Mm.
means get real snobby. Like
Yeah.
if it's somebody's jobs to get to you to eat more than you want, then most likely that's not worth our attention and love. But a home baked treat from yourself or a loved one, like be snobby about it. But
Yeah.
I'm with you. Small crunchy things in bags are my
Small
kryptonite.
crunchy things in bags.
Pretzels, crackers, chips. And I like to say that they're like my habit that humbles me because I
Mm.
always say I'm doing my work right alongside all my clients. And so it's good to have habits that come back, the bad ones, quote unquote bad, the ones that I want to shift. It's good to keep practicing my skills and strategies on
Yeah.
myself. It's the work of a lifetime. And if we enjoy that and have fun with it, then that's how it's going to feel.
Yeah. Well, let's kind of back go a little bit here and tell
Back
us your
up.
yeah, well not back up. I mean, it's all perfect. It's all perfect. You know what? This is just like healing. Healing is not linear.
Mm,
I did an episode
so
on that
true.
because it's
Yeah.
especially autoimmune. Autoimmune has its own colors. It's a chameleon and oh, everything.
Yeah.
But not going back, tell us your story of multiple sclerosis, which you've been diagnosed, and your story of how, where, whatever you feel comfortable you want to share. And also, again, I want to thank you for being on our show because
Mm,
it's all about helping people out there. And if we just touch one person and this show helps them, we've done it. We've done it. We've done our work.
I love that idea. That's so beautiful.
So
Yes.
tell us your story.
It started the first time I heard the word autoimmune, I was 16 or 17, and I started getting white patches on my skin. And I was diagnosed with vitiligo, which is the same disease that Michael Jackson had. So a lot of people know it
Oh, wow.
as that disease because that's why he started dyeing his skin white, was that the patches of whiteness, it was in contrast to his skin color. And so he wanted to even them out.
Oh, wow.
So I'm Caucasian and it wasn't quite as noticeable, but I have a nice tan. And so it was these white blotchy patches on my face and my hands,
Mm.
which are common areas. So at that point, I hear this is an autoimmune disease. So fast forward a few years and I'm in pharmacy school and I start to learn about the human body, what goes right and what goes wrong. And we're learning this autoimmune word and how they like to cluster and how if you get one, then likely there's another one coming. And I started to get this, oh gosh, I already have one. And next came Graves' disease,
Oh,
which
yeah.
is an autoimmune of the thyroid.
Mm-hmm.
And so if you looked at me from the outside, I wasn't unhealthy. I looked like everybody else. I was eating a lot of processed foods. I was, exercising, but really for vanity, the
Yeah.
the typical things in college. So that's two autoimmune diagnoses at that point, not really doing much different, moving on. And then I started getting this kind of impending feeling like something just wasn't right. And so I was a runner and I started getting foot drop when I
Mm.
would get up in the teens and even the 20s of mileage. And I kind of ignored it. I was thinking, okay, I mean, I'm running a long time. And it started happening sooner and sooner, and it started taking longer and longer to recover. And I just had a feeling, I was a pharmacist at this point practicing in healthcare. And I said, I think this is MS. And I went to a orthopedist, I went to a neurologist, and they're like, no, this isn't MS. And I'm like, oh, I think it is. Let's just get a scan. And sure enough, scan followed up with a spinal tap, confirmed MS.
Mm.
And I just have to tell, I mean, to describe that was, I mean, I don't know where I heard this term, but it describes it perfectly, a life quake. It truly just rocked my world. It was devastating. I was terrified. And there was a time when I was studying in pharmacy school. It's late, we're loopy, and we started playing this game of what's the worst disease you could ever be diagnosed with. And so my friends are going around, and I know nothing about my future with MS at this point, and I say multiple sclerosis. for some reason, the thought of a neurological disease that you can't do that much. Now there's more and more we're learning about the neurological system that is amazing, neuroplasticity.
Oh,
But back then there were a few drugs only, and it just seemed terrifying. As somebody who loved to run and to walk, that's what I said. And so when I called a couple of these friends when I had to tell them about my diagnosis, their immediate response was, "Oh my God, do you remember that night?" And I said, "Of course I remember that night."
mm,
So I like to say, because it's very empowering, that I survived my worst case scenario more than once, to be honest. I did at another point in my life too, but I'm still here, and I'm still finding those reroutes around something that's trying to get in the way of my health and happiness, but keep coming back again and again to find ways to still create better health and love this life that I live with MS. Because I do have daily reminders and I do have symptoms and some limitations, but I'm healthier in a lot of ways than I ever would be if I didn't have this diagnosis.
wow, that's amazing. How long ago were you diagnosed?
14 years coming up. I'm 40, I'll be 42 this year, and I was 27
You were
when I was diagnosed.
27.
Mhm.
So was that 2012?
2012?
Yeah,
Yeah,
2012. A year not to forget.
yeah,
Wow.
yeah. On my mom's birthday.
Oh my God. What
Yeah,
what what day's her birthday?
May 3rd. She worked at the same hospital as me, and I was gonna take her to lunch, and I said, "Well, we'll go to this neurologist appointment." She goes, "You could never be diagnosed with MS on my birthday." And I said, "Oh, wait."
Oh
So,
wait.
but it only makes sense she was with me. She's been a nice, steady support through it. So yeah, it's a memorable day.
Yeah. Putting it lightly. Oh my goodness. You talk about running. Were you a big runner? And you talk about mile 16, mile 17. Did you do marathons?
I was a big runner who I've never run a race. I'm the least competitive person you'll ever meet.
Okay, I love
Really?
that.
It's funny. My husband and I, during COVID, we would play Yahtzee and we'd go to bed and we'd go, "Who won?" We didn't even share our score. So I would run in the 20s, but I never signed up for a race. I've done 5Ks and walks and stuff for fundraisers, but
Yeah.
never ran a race. So it's pretty funny.
So you would do up to 20 miles then, is that what you're
Yeah,
saying?
I think I got to
Okay.
22 if I am remembering correctly.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
That's pretty impressive. The most I've ever done is a half marathon. That was quite some time ago in
Were you
South.
fast? I was always really slow and I never
I'm
cared.
I'm not. And I revisited, started running again in 2023. I took
How
about
does it feel?
amazing. I've actually, I'm blaming it on the rain. I'm blaming it on the rain and the cold, and now I'm blaming it on the astrology that I haven't really been running much.
Yeah.
But I love it. In fact, tonight is really fun because I'm doing a really fun run. It's called She is Beautiful. It's in California, Santa
Oh,
Cruz. They have one in Santa
fun.
Barbara too.
Yeah.
And these two sisters, I think they're twins. They have this organization and they raise money and then it goes to like a women's shelter locally here
Oh,
for
how
programs.
fun.
But they do all these amazing meetups. So this one, the one tonight, is we start at one of the best ice cream shops in Santa Cruz County. And then we run and we come and we get the first 50 people get a coupon for free
Oh,
ice
that's
cream.
fun.
I
Oh, that's
know.
so
It's so
fun.
fun. I know. I'm so excited. I'm so excited. So, but anyway, to answer your question, yes, I love running. I run along the beach, along the ocean. It's just so,
Yeah.
it's just, I don't know. I just put my playlist on and I just go out there, and I
Yeah.
always feel so good after.
Yeah. Well, my story wouldn't be complete since we're talking about running. In 2015, so I was only a few years into my diagnosis, I was in a car accident.
Okay.
And I was a passenger and I was hit by a truck
Ooh.
and broke my hip, my sacrum, my pelvis, my femur. So I was in a wheelchair, non-weight bearing for about 4 months. After that, I really could never run again. I
Oh.
found, and actually I need to correct that wording, which I'll tell you in a minute, but I found that I don't know if it was a fear of falling. I also found out that I had bones that were osteoporotic for some other hormonal reasons, possibly autoimmune. And so my gait just never became the same and I didn't run again. And so I just hit the 10-year mark from that
Oh.
accident. And I have been doing a pretty extensive physical therapy program, which is kind of exciting in the world of neuroplasticity, and we're working with some devices to help, strengthen my motor pathways. And I say all that to, it was the culmination of getting in this cool harness that is like actually attached to the ceiling at my therapy center. And so I'm safe, right? And I've been taking some steps running. It's wild. It's really wild. It's cool. I mean,
Wow.
to go back to that, and um yeah, you heard me. I naturally said, and I never ran again, but that's not true,
Right.
because I've had a
Yeah.
few stints, and I'm keep working at it for sure.
Yeah. So, wow. Oh my goodness. So you were the passenger.
Passenger, yeah, in a friend's rental car. So it was tiny little car, and somebody
Mm-hmm.
blew through a red light. And
Oh, man.
yeah, it was scary, but you
Yeah,
end up
you got,
looking back, and
wow, you got through it. Now, do you
mhm.
have any symptoms now of the Graves or
The
the,
vitiligo has stopped spreading.
okay.
The Graves, no, there's no active antibodies. I also had a diagnosis on biopsy in my gut for what they thought looked like inflammatory bowel disease,
Oh, wow.
but they couldn't really quite figure it out. I'm always very constipated. So it
Mm.
didn't look like a typical Crohn's or colitis, because
Hmm.
they thought, well, maybe your inflammation is actually what's keeping you from going. But I like to say that this is my only one that is still active,
The
and
MS.
the MS.
Mm-hmm.
And, I really think I can credit at 27, when I got that wake up call after the initial shutter shock, and I went back and dove into all things I could in terms of, these are the things I can't control. What
Hmm.
can I control? And
Right.
then really shifted my focus there, and started this approach to intentionally upgrading how I was thinking, feeling, and acting,
Mm.
to ensure that I could um, say that I was doing what I can.
Yeah.
And I like to believe that keeps all the other autoimmune diseases in remission. I like to believe it keeps new ones from being added.
Mm-hmm.
Like to believe that these parts of my health, which I call autoimmune health, are better because of the diagnosis. The way I treat my mental and emotional health, my gut health, my metabolic health, and things like that.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Well, I was listening to your podcast, which we'll have a link to everything in the show notes. It's great, but I love all your different, what do you, it's not boxes, your different in the hub.
Spokes. Yeah.
Yeah, the spokes.
Spokes of the hub.
Yeah, spokes of the hub. It's interesting because what would you say that your preservation of your health and to undo what was there, what would you say was the first step?
The first step for me was food. I think that it was the most obvious. I
Mm-hmm.
That's what probably was being fed to me even back then there was a lot of information. Now,
Yeah.
holy cow, the amount that of overwhelm of do this, do that, conflicting info. I mean,
Yeah, it's almost
it's
too much.
it's worse than ever. But
I think so
back,
too.
yeah, back then it was like, okay, I could clean up this food. I ate a lot of processed food. I was
Hmm.
raised by a single mom on ramen noodles and bagel bites, and God love her, but you look back and you're like, oh my gosh, I was eating just pure junk and the low fat
Yeah.
craze in the 80s and 90s.
Oh
But
God, I love that. Yeah.
yeah,
Snackwells.
yeah.
Eat the whole
Oh my God,
box.
yes.
Eat the whole
The whole
box.
lot.
It's okay.
Done that. Been there, done that. Hands down.
Yeah, remember they had the
Oh,
ones that were kind of like Girl Scout cookies?
I love
They
Snackwells.
Yeah, but it did taste like cardboard.
It did. There was a Dollar
Didn't it?
General. There was a Dollar General on the campus of where I went to school, and my roommate and I would go by there, and we'd get strawberry fig Newtons off-brand,
Oh yeah.
and
Yes.
off-brand Snackwells, fat-free. So it was free. It was completely free.
Great.
Um, so
Great.
food came first, but I went all
Okay.
in. I mean,
Yeah.
to the point where I think everybody's at risk of this, and you guys listening may have this story, but it's like it became the reason the hub, you mentioned the habit hub for autoimmune health. The reason it's a hub is because these 6 key areas of our lifestyle that if and when we throw some intention behind them,
Mm.
we really can feel balanced and keep getting healthier and happier. But if you only look at one area, or, the other ones will wither away and die, and it will be a bumpy ride.
Yeah.
And so, related to food, like, I didn't want any inflammatory oils passing my lips ever. So I was saying no to connecting with friends over a delicious meal,
Mm.
without seeing that balance. And so
Yeah.
the first step was food, because you get some quick wins, and
Yes.
energy is such an issue. I call it the fatigue, the symptom that binds with people with autoimmune disease,
Yeah.
because that I'm tired, exhausted,
Yeah.
I'm fatigued.
Yeah.
And it's parsing out that, yes, there's some medical reasons that autoimmunity may be causing some fatigue, but just because it's common does not mean it's normal. And food is one of the coolest ways to see, wow, maybe I can not walk around like a zombie or exhausted. And so food was the first one, movement, keeping movement going. But the hugest breakthrough was honestly the spoke of the habit hub that I call mindset matters. You cannot outnourish a shitty mindset.
I was
You know,
just going to say, you know what? Honestly, pillar one is the decision to do it.
oh,
I did a whole podcast
yes.
on that because the thing is, you could be following the whole 30 or this or that, but you're begrudgingly doing it. It doesn't matter. Mind over matter. The mind is so
Yeah.
freaking powerful. It's
Yeah.
healing. It's powerful.
You know that they do studies where they
Oh,
give you a milkshake. You say this is the decadent milkshake, and then they give you the exact same thing, but they tell you it's a health smoothie. And just how you're thinking about it while you consume it changes your markers, your blood sugar spike, your insulin changes things, just how you're thinking about it. So
yes.
you're exactly right. Going into any food plan, exercise plan, rest plan, relationship, how we are thinking and feeling. I include thoughts and feelings because they're
Oh,
so related.
it is.
Yeah,
Yeah,
they're both mindset, because
it
how we're
is.
thinking
Yeah.
creates how we're feeling. So that mindset piece is hands down what has changed my life, because my happiness and my health is not hitched to anything external anymore.
Mm-mm.
So many of us, let's say your happiness is hitched on walking, or your happiness is hitched on some loss that we experience because of a diagnosis, then we're just out of the game. And so we got to find new ways to still reroute, get to that destination, no matter what's kind of coming at us that we can't control.
Yeah. Well, I know running stopped for you, but you still have that, even though you didn't compete or whatever, but you have that athletic mind. And I've told listeners before, when you have something like a MS or an autoimmune or some life, whatever, my podcast is all about finding that inner light. It's the Lightkeeper's
Mhm.
path, and it's basically the light right here, and it's going to shine through, and it's going to shine through the storm and the darkness. But the first thing you do is you turn the frickin' light on, and you
Mm.
do not say no, and you say, I'm going to get through this storm no matter what it takes.
Yep.
So it's the first thing, really, the road to whatever it is deciding that you want that. And
Deciding to turn the light on.
yeah, and
Yep.
not settling for less.
Yeah.
And you know what? If it means, I totally understand because I did that. I've done every frickin' diet there is, and not necessarily lose weight, but for MS and lose weight, but you know,
Yeah.
MS. But I've done the whole where you go to a function and it's like, oh no, I'm sorry, oh no, and you feel like such a dweeb, but in the end, it's really not that bad because you're stretching and you're figuring out your boundaries, and you
Yeah.
have along with turning your light on and making the decision. You've chosen you, which you just said
Mm.
that.
Mm.
You've chosen you. And you said, guess what? I choose me first.
Yep.
I love me first because if I'm not taken care of, none of you guys are. And I'm
Well,
important.
and it's contagious, because here's the thing.
Yes. Yes.
We're canaries in the coal mine. So something in our genetics has made us susceptible to this modern world throwing up the red flags that something's not right. But I'm not projecting this on your loved ones and your friends. I don't want them to experience this, but I'm not kidding you. Age, even everybody's aging. So the number of people who me and my I love when my clients report it too, because they're like, my friend got diagnosed with something and they came to me, how are you doing this? Or this
Mhm.
person's aging, how are you doing this? It's like, if we look at it instead as we're just getting a little ahead of the game,
Yeah.
it's kind of a cool, empowering thought. Like you said, when you go to those things where you could either say, oh my God, I don't get to have that hot dog at this baseball game, or oh my gosh, I'm learning this skill a whole lot earlier. And thank goodness, because I'm going to have to learn it at some point. At some point, what's the phrase? The rooster's going to come home to roost. I shouldn't use phrases I don't know, but at some point, it's going to catch up with us that we got to take care of these vessels that we live in. And
Yeah.
so we're just getting a head start, I like to say.
Right. This podcast is made possible by Mudwater. With daylight savings time here and the days getting longer, I've been loving iced mud water as part of my morning ritual. It's a blend of cacao, chai, turmeric, and functional mushrooms that support calm, focused energy without the jitters of coffee. If you'd like to try it, you can find my affiliate link in the show notes. And it doesn't mean it's forever.
Yeah,
Yeah. I
true.
mean, you could maybe have that one fun cheat day or, once a day, once a month or once a week or, and it's because when your vessel's clean and everything's operating and it's moving at an optimum,
Yes,
then it will go through. It's just the whole clogged up system. But
totally.
yeah, that's so important. And then also, what I found, which is so key, is community. So maybe you can talk about your community. And first of all, when did you realize what community did you build up? And then talk about your current community.
Yeah, so there's a few different words that I don't know what will resonate with people, but in the Habit Hub, I call it connection.
Mm,
And it started with the um, ancient wisdom, modern science behind how we can't do hard things alone, right?
yeah.
Relationships are the number one indicator of happiness and quality of life.
Yeah.
So relationships are key. And it's really fun the way we do them because we treat them like habits where we get to set goals in how to make relationships even better. People will be like, I have great relationships, they're supportive. But
Mm-hmm.
when all of a sudden you actually throw some intentionality behind them and you ask yourself, what do you want to be known for? And some people are like, well, it should be spontaneous and it should be fun to hang out. But really, it's cool to set it as how do I make these relationships richer and deeper? And so that's the health part of relationships, and connection is what I call it.
Mm,
The community that I built really came based on what I learned about the science. I mean, I'm a scientist at heart with my
mm,
PharmD background, and how we change, how we are successful reaching our goals is very clearly laid out. It's something called self-efficacy. And
mm.
self-efficacy, the best way to describe it, it's the measure we use in a lot of like clinical trials to see how healthy and how people are able to change. So in coaching as well, they measure self-efficacy because high self-efficacy, it improves immune function, it lowers inflammation, it is an indicator that wow, this person is going to reach their goals, whatever it is. And I like to describe it as like the little voice in your head when you're walking around that's saying, you can do this. This
Mm,
matters. You got this. Like, and that's not something you have or don't have. That's something you build. And so
mm,
there are these very well-known habits that build self-efficacy. So when I was thinking, okay, I've been coaching people one-on-one, I want to bring this power into a group. I want to bring this into a accessible way for people to have a place to tap in, to learn what they need to know, make a plan, and then have the support to follow through on it. So I built the group, the community, just knowing what we know about how do we build self-efficacy? How do we
so
reach
great.
goals? And
Yeah.
so part of that is community. You need to see other people that are similar but doing things. Like you need to, this is part of the blue zones research as
Mm,
well. You need to, the healthier thing needs to be the norm somewhere. And for most of us in our real life, slowing down, looking at our thoughts and feelings, celebrating ourselves, setting goals. That's not the norm for most of the modern world. So come in and see that, wow, this can be the norm. And again, learn all those skills. How do I look at how I'm thinking and feeling and celebrate and measure progress? And so I feel like I have this hack because I love science and I can see,
Yeah.
oh, we study that this is what works. And then we bring it over into the group and I'm like, this works and it works on me too. I am practicing what I preach every single day.
That is so great. I love that. So, in your connections, can you tell us a little bit more? Is it like you have Zooms or is it like just different little chat rooms and is it all the different hubs, like maybe diet, exercise,
Good,
drugs,
good
doctors?
question.
Mm-hmm.
Drugs isn't a hub. So I call it the trifecta of support. And there's three pillars. There's coaching.
Mm-hmm.
So that is us hanging out live on Zoom.
Okay.
It's
Yeah.
virtual. It's once a week, sometimes more for various special things, but it's a habit to have a place to come, whether you're the one asking the question, whether you're the one sharing the struggle or telling us about how you planned to exercise 4 times, but you just didn't meet it.
Yeah.
You are either the one getting the support with me and others get to watch and extract all that wisdom and apply it to their own situation, or you come because you want a place to see, okay, what's a question I didn't even know to ask and what's
Mm.
Amy going to teach me? So that real life human support can never go away. With ChatGPT and AI, there's a lot of promises being made out there, but the co-regulation and the oxytocin and the signal to our bodies that we are connecting, that we need to thrive, has to happen live.
Yeah.
And so the best teaching I can do is based off a question that you ask me. That's for anybody. If I'm just picking what I want to talk about, sure, it's good information, but the best is when you're really sitting with something and yeah, that's nice, but this is what happened in my real life. Let's talk about that. And let's problem solve all these great strategies and science-backed reasons in real life.
Yeah. That's
So
so
that
great.
yeah, so that's the first one. That's the
Okay.
coaching.
Now, just a quick question about the coaching.
Sure.
So, is it like I say, "Hey, Dr. Amy, I have a
Just
question."
Amy.
Okay, just Amy. Amy, I have a question, and then you say, "Oh, okay, Kimberly, we'll do it live." And or is it like everybody's in a room and they raise their hand? How does that kind of work?
Yep. So everybody knows the calendar ahead of time. It's on
Okay.
Thursdays at various times.
Uh-huh.
They can submit a question ahead of time. They
Hmm.
can, and we have a community piece, which is going to be one of the trifecta of support, but they can say, oh, I'm coming to the call and I want to work on this, or I can't be at the call. So I'm asking this. Can you talk about it? Because there'll be a replay.
Right.
Or we get on and I look around, I say, hey, raise your hand if you know you want to chat today. And,
Mm,
even if there's 15 people in the room, it may be two, three, four that are like, I got something.
yeah.
And more may come up, but it's just such a testament that even if we aren't the one, sometimes we just want to come observe and tap into that space where there are really high quality thoughts that are happening that we can kind of latch onto and expose ourselves to. And when we leave, like we'll do a round robin of how are we feeling, and when we leave spaces feeling a little more motivated, a little more empowered, a little more seen, that trickles over into the other days of the week. And we're
Yeah.
never more than a week from another shot at it. So
That's amazing.
yeah, so it's a beautiful way to again really have personalized support because when we're talking, it's you and me. And I am always thinking, okay, how can I help people see that this can be applied to what they're going through too?
Yeah. I love
Yeah.
that. What are the two other pillars?
Community we mentioned. So
Hmm.
it's similar, it's not on social media, which is a lot of people's favorite part. It's housed right in our membership site. And it again is used for accountability, for celebrating, for sharing pieces of information only to be paired with action. So that's a big time rule is that it is, we don't learn anything without pairing it with action because we get into this comfortable over consuming and learning. It can feel really nourishing, but then we just don't do much with the information. So there's always just enough information to then I'll turn it around and say, how are you going to use this today? How are you going to put this into play this week?
Mm.
And so then it's people sharing and again, seeing what's possible that, I'm taking a moment out to focus on my health. I have this disease, but what am I doing about it? And how do I focus on my health? And a lot of us say like health is a priority, right? If you came to just one call a week for an hour, that is 0.5% of our week.
Yeah.
1 hour. And to say we don't have time for that, and there's even a replay, you could, if it
Yeah.
doesn't work. So same thing where I encourage people, if you come into the community just once a day, see what I'm offering, give someone a like or a heart or a word of encouragement. If it takes 7 minutes is 0.5% of our day. So again, really looking at what are our priorities, does our calendar and does our bank account. They say those are the two things that really tell us our priorities without telling us without, we can say what our priorities and our values are all day long, but where are we spending our time and resources?
Yeah.
So that's the second one. The third one is called curriculum, and that's pretty
Mm.
much any of my teachings. So
Mm.
I have lessons, I have different frameworks, I have workshops, I have various courses. It is not meant to be you come in and have to consume it all. Again, it is there for when you need it. If you're feeling fatigued, oh, what's a way I can think of this, or what's a framework I can put in action? You go and you find what you need.
Mhm.
And there's my ABC Habit Playbook is like the way that I take all the great habit research, whether it's Atomic Habits or Tiny Habits or the Power of Habit, and distill it into very usable strategies. I call them plays. There's
Mhm.
20 of them, and we mix and match. We come in and we think about what is the goal I'm working on, and we find the strategy that we can use for it. So it's a lot more tangible and actionable, again, with the support and the accountability to follow through on it. So that's the curriculum piece. And those three pieces really do solve for the research backed reasons that goals fail. There's, again, I feel like I'm cheating. I'm using the science that we know ahead of time what obstacles get in the way, and then we solve for them. And we just do it with patience and love and develop this like self trust that you can do this. So many people are like, I'm just not consistent. I just won't stick with it. Let's learn how to change that narrative. Let's do it with love. Let's make it work on our lowest energy days. Let's make it work no matter what symptoms you're facing. Like, let's just keep showing up for this in a way that feels good because that's how we keep doing it.
Well, this is so amazing. I have to tell you. So, I was diagnosed almost 26 years ago. That's freaking crazy, right? Year 2000, which actually I listened to your podcast with Dr. Terry Walls. Yeah, so
Yep, she's been on a couple times.
yeah, she's amazing. I didn't really completely know her story. We were diagnosed the same year,
Mm.
but I do know she was relapsing remitting, which myself, and I had every reason to be fearful. And then she was 3 years in, and then she was primary progressive, and she talked about her journey and how she got out of that, and she's doing really amazing. But I got to tell you, almost 26 years ago, it was such a different story, and I would
Yeah,
have so loved a community that you've developed. I mean,
yeah.
what I did was I went to all the dinners and the lunches that the drug companies put on. Now, I know you're a scientist and a pharmacist, but they did have one goal. What was that? To get people on the drugs.
Hmm.
And when I was
Hmm.
diagnosed, it was the ABC. It was Avonox, Betaseron, and
Pack.
Copaxone. Yeah. And then the big thing was the R, which was
Rebith.
Rebif. And then I was about 5 years in or something, and there was the one that you could die from. What was that one? That you know which one I'm talking about? It's
I
still on the
do.
market.
Yeah. I was on it for a while.
You said
Yeah,
that. Yeah, you told me
yeah,
you were on it. I can't
yeah.
remember. It's
Take
what's it?
Sabri. Take Sabri.
Tasabri. Yeah. And what is it that you get? You get something in the brain.
You can it could put you at increased risk for PML. Yeah,
PML.
with a certain virus
Yeah.
marker. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Well,
yeah,
now I'm like, keep me away from that one. I will
yeah.
do everything in my. But I was trying to find community, and I really honestly couldn't find people that were,
Yeah.
they wanted to get better. A lot of them were, it was just the environment. They were like, oh, woe is me. I've got this.
And that's what I have to get through to people who may be a little bit scarred from Facebook groups.
Oh,
or support groups that are not held by someone who is equipped to hold it. So it's
yeah.
not a dumping ground. It is not
Right.
a place for unsolicited advice.
Yeah.
We don't want to throw out the type of support that, I don't mean to sound a certain kind of way where I'm bragging in any way, but kind of an expert in who's trained in these ways to support intentionally,
Yes.
and hold the space and be able to have people in a room that are training for marathons and climbing mountains in a room with people who potentially spend their days not able to walk.
Yeah,
And because it's not about the symptom, it's about what is our personal goal and are we proud in how we're showing up for it? And
exactly.
when we can see that in each other, then we cheer each other on, and it's just a safe place to celebrate because we know that's a key part of how to change things, but also half of life
Yeah.
is not so great. And just like nature, just like storms, there will be sun, but there will be storms. There never will not be storms. And to have a safe place to come and also talk about the struggles and figure out how to keep going through them is just as important. The other piece you mentioned is how does these spokes fit in? And it's that we really put a spoke as the focus for a month
Mm.
so that we get to A, have balance,
Yeah.
but B, calm the overwhelm. We don't have to do it all at once.
Mhm.
If we follow the plan twice a year, we're going to revisit each of these areas of our life. And that doesn't mean you can't have goals in food while we're talking about movement, but it allows us to have a focus to say, okay, what could change here? What have I changed in the last 6 months? Do I want to experiment with something different? Maybe I want to, really ask more of myself this month and go for a big goal. And so
Yeah.
it's kind of this hopefully feels like a calm, intentional trip through life while trying to think, feel, and do the best we can.
Yeah. That is so great.
Because you notice I keep saying think, feel, and do, because it's not just about the habits we're trying to make. I love a good habit because it's so wonderful, but let's also include our experience in how we're thinking and feeling, because those are just some of the most powerful to shift how we're experiencing life now.
Yeah. Can you talk a little bit to our listeners about neuroplasticity? I'm familiar with it, but some of our listeners may not. And you can do
Yeah.
basic and then go a little deep if you want,
Yeah.
and how that relates to disease and just life.
Yeah. Decades ago, they really believed our brain couldn't change. They could just kind of thought it is what it is.
Mm-hmm.
But the more we learn, our brain can respond to stimulus. It can respond to our thoughts, our feelings, our behavior. It can change and be shaped and create new neural pathways. It's
Yeah.
wild. We can regain connections in places that we at one point never thought possible. And so it's just this understanding that our brain is changeable. How we think, feel, and act impacts it. So our environment impacts it. And so it gives us hope that if something feels inevitable, if something feels like it just is never going to be any different, whether it's, again, an emotional state, a mindset, a physical ability, there is possibility because these brains can shift change and create new connections. It's really wild. There's videos where people will be doing, let's say, PT exercises. And maybe at first you can't lift your leg a certain amount or lift your leg, but you're thinking about it. That's actually sending signals.
Mhm.
And maybe the first 30 times you're thinking about it, it's not moving. But that 31st time, it may be enough that in your brain, you literally find a new connection and it is able to move. So it's a little bit wild and it's a little bit, gosh, it's not so wild anymore. There's so much good data behind, how true it is that it's just a really neat idea that gives us a lot of hope.
Oh, Absolutely. Again, singing to the choir. I'm all about that. I'm all
Yeah,
about
you are.
neuroplasticity. Yeah, UC San Diego has a big, I don't know if you're familiar there. They have a big research center there, specifically meditation and the effects that it has on the brain.
Mm,
And there's
yes.
like so much. It is deep. And honestly, it goes back to what's the first thing? Make the decision.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
really make the decision because and we know athletes, what do? They replay in their brain, they replay in the brain. Okay, I'm going to the finish line. This is my time. This and they just keep that's what athletes do.
Yeah.
My daughter, she was doing and I did it with her for a bit. She's a martial artist. And once a martial artist, you always are. So she's just not in a dojo right now where she's practicing. But it was the same thing before she would compete is part of the competition is you're kind of in a zen state or meditating. You're just going through your mind of your
Mm,
performance and how you're going to do.
yeah.
Even to the point of, okay, I'm going to get the medal.
Yeah.
But that's what
That's
athletes do. Yeah.
that is so cool. That's so cool. There's one where they did free throw shooters, a study where they did free throw shooters, and they had one group work on 1,000 free throws.
Uh-huh.
One group just thought about shooting 1,000 free throws, and the other one did nothing. And the one that actually practiced physically shooting them and the one that just thought about it, they both improved significantly and not that far off from each other. Like just doing the visualization, it's
Yes.
wild. It's so
It is.
cool.
It is.
Yeah.
And when you go into, okay, woo woo manifestation, it's all about you got to feel it. And you've been
Yeah.
saying, what'd you say? Think, feel, something
Think, feel,
else.
do. Think, feel,
Think,
do.
feel, do. Yeah.
Yeah.
So with manifestation, it's, well, you got to feel the feeling and you got to
Yeah.
think it and you got to do it. You got to
Yeah.
embrace it. So I mean, it really all comes. I'm so glad we are where we are with all this. Because again, like I said, almost 26 years ago when I got diagnosed, it certainly wasn't this at all. It was, hey, get your life together. Here's a brochure. You have a choice of 3 drugs. You can go to another neurologist if you want. I understand. Of course I did. I went to 5 or 6.
Yeah.
And I stayed with the one who said, well, maybe, maybe not. And I also did do a spinal tap, and that is the most barbaric thing ever. If anybody ever said to me, do I would say absolutely no. I
Yeah.
don't know your thoughts on it because you can get a false positive or a something, something. I don't know. That's
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it wasn't super pleasant. Yeah.
no.
Yeah.
I was out for a week. I don't know about you.
Yeah. Well, the visualization, just because if anyone's listening and like, you don't have to be an athlete to apply this. So
No, not
the,
at all.
yeah, the cool thing is like, let's say you're having trouble getting up in the morning, you want to hit snooze, or you're having trouble not ordering the bloomin' onion. I have a client who loves bloomin' onion from Outback, not ordering the
Oh,
bloomin' onion
oh,
in
the bloomin' onion. I
at the
haven't had one of
restaurant.
those for like 20 years.
I know. So let's say you're like that type of thing. If you sit and you visualize those things, like you visualize the night before, okay, my alarm's gonna go off. I'm gonna get out of bed. I'm gonna put my feet on the ground. I'm gonna stretch, or I'm gonna order this. When you get to game time, when you get to that moment, your brain has actually already seen you walk through the version that you want,
Yes.
ordering that thing, getting out of bed, maybe with a smile. And it will make it that much easier because you've
Hmm.
done it once or
Yeah.
twice. So
Yeah.
use that trick on anything you're working on.
Well, here's the funniest thing. So, Dr. Joe Dispenza, he's all about that. Yeah. And
Yep.
I went to one of his retreats in December and I'm doing the follow up at the end in about a week. So I'm so excited. This one's the advanced follow up. So you go in better, deeper, faster. But there was a lady who, if you go onto his, website or something, she did a testimonial. It was Miss Hawaii. And she did the visualization. She did his one of his meditations because a lot of his meditations are either about love or they are about visualization. And then there's other. But anyway, so she manifested becoming Miss Hawaii. Now the funniest thing, when she and she did a whole testimonial about it. You can find it online. When she went up and she was awarded, and oh, congratulations, Miss Hawaii, it was almost anticlimactic for her because she'd already experienced it.
Wow, that's
Isn't
cool.
that funny? It was like,
Yeah.
well, yeah, of course. I've been Miss Hawaii for a while. I've been living this. Isn't that funny?
I just love the way you say Hawaii.
Oh, okay. Why? How
It's
do I
like,
say?
I don't know, it sounds almost like a native. I think I say it with my Michigander Hawaii.
Oh,
I don't know. Yours is just it's just beautiful. I'm like, I hope she says it one
Hawaii.
more time. Hawaii. It's
Hawaii.
softer. It's softer and beautiful. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, that's so
That
funny.
is a cool story. That is so
Yeah,
cool.
but I'm
Yeah.
glad you touched on neuroplasticity because the brain is so powerful.
It wants to,
So
our whole body wants to
heal.
be there for us. Yeah.
Yes.
There's a Carl Jung quote that's like, you can't change something you don't love.
Yeah.
And, that takes a minute, but our bodies may be frustrating and it may not be functioning how we want it to, but
Mm,
if we love it exactly as it is, not needing it to change, then ironically, that actually is probably going to set up our entire state to be more likely to change to function how we want it to. So it can almost feel like, oh, well, then I'm giving up, or accepting
mm.
is somehow means this is how it will be forever. But if we
Oh,
can love what is, and then we can ask more from it, then it will kind of work with us. I think it will be more
yeah.
willing to change if I don't have kids, but I have nephews and a niece, and I imagine it's like a person. Like if you unconditionally love someone, and you don't need them to change, they may feel more safe to change. They may feel more safe to if they're loved by you.
I love that. That's I love that.
Love
No,
that. I
that
say
is
I
so
say I love that all the time. It's
yeah.
it's like my
No, that's so appropriate. Well, there's the book. Oh, I just had it in my mind and then that thought just left. It's the one The Body Talks. You know that one? It's based
yes.
it was probably about 10, I don't know if that's the exact thing, but there's all about, and again, this wasn't out 26 years ago, but your body's always talking to you.
Yeah.
So if you have a symptom of this, a symptom of that, a broken heart,
Yeah.
you have a heart attack, but I'm not going to go there because I don't want to be thinking I have judgment or anything. But yeah, our body is a vessel. It's always talking to us. Be kind, love it,
Mhm.
cherish it. You only get one.
Yeah.
And thank it
Yeah.
for, even if it's just getting you out of bed or whatever it is to
And
that
and and
point.
are we willing to love it unconditionally? I mean,
Yeah.
which means without condition, without once
Judgment.
you get better, once you
Mm.
do this for me. It feels that. It feels that. I
Yeah.
think I think that it will feel that shift in loving it as it is,
Yeah.
exactly as it is.
What would you say was a turning point in your kind of healing process? I
So
mean, was it that? Was it like I'm just going to accept everything and not fight it, or what was it?
I'll give you a book that really rocked my world, and then I'll tell you the moment. The book that rocked my world was by Byron Katie. It's called Loving What Is. So,
Hmm.
no shocker there. But it was, again, deciding to try
Yeah.
something different. I felt pretty just frustrated. And so I decided, you know what? I'm going to try coaching. I'm going to try to
Oh.
let someone else see what's happening in my brain and in my life and what am I missing? Because I'm obviously missing something. That's what I like. I am willing to be wrong about the fact that I know what I need. And I will never forget. I said something. I said something about, well, I have MS. So obviously my life's always going to be a little bit worse. And she lovingly reflected back that
Oh.
that's not true. That's an option. That's a thought.
Yeah.
That's not a capital T truth. That is a thought that will, if you don't challenge it and shift it to something more nourishing, you will create a life where it's always a little bit worse.
Yeah.
And so that just seeing that that was optional. Now, I would say I worked on shifting that thought to a new belief of, my life is not worse. And it started with, it's possible my life won't be worse.
Mm.
That was that. I practiced that for a couple years, probably at about a decade. My belief that my life is not worse is so rock solid that you could not convince me otherwise. I don't care what evidence you told me, but that takes intentionality. It takes revisiting this thought. And again, because of neuroplasticity, when I practice that thought, when I find evidence for that thought, now that's the one my brain goes to habitually
Mm.
because my brain adapted to what I was feeding it. I was putting myself in rooms that reminded me that, oh, okay, what I'm thinking is not capital T true.
Yeah.
And another analogy she offered that was so good was if you've ever played poker, MS is one card in my hand. So let's say it's what typically would be, let's say, a shitty hand, a two of clubs. You don't look at a two of clubs and you're like, oh, this is a winning hand. But a two of clubs in a flush or a full house is a winning hand. And so, how am I going to play that two of clubs?
Mm.
Then all of a sudden, oh my God, I have so much more power than I realized. And that awareness of how I impact how I think and feel and how that creates my reality. I mean, I'm forever indebted to just this person who showed me that. And so I was like, I need to be a coach and I want to be able to help other people with that. And the coolest part is that a lot of people come in thinking, oh, good, I'm going to get these habits of how I eat and move and sleep. And we do that. But the true thing is we get to work on this mindset stuff. We
Mm.
do that from the root. We go to the root of all of it, which is how we're thinking and feeling. So that was my
Wow.
moment. That was my moment.
That is amazing. Yeah. And you definitely are living your soul purpose.
Oh, I feel it.
No, you are. Absolutely.
I trust that from you. People be like, how do you do all this? And how do you have the energy? And I'm like, I guess you know it when, I'll get off a coaching call and somehow my energy went from a 7 to a 12.
Yeah.
You know, you're
Right?
like, okay, yes. And
Mm-hmm.
even when it's heavy things and even when it's
Mm-hmm.
not always easy, but I love my people just so much love. Like the people who are like, wow, I'm going to try something different. I'm going to trust this little thing that maybe she can help me. I don't care about what letters are after her name, but that intuitive hit that maybe this different is something that will help. That's brave. And
Yeah.
I am committed to showing up for those people and helping them feel seen and heard and offer hopefully some things that I took long time to learn and hopefully can use my gifts to package in a way that's really usable because just think positive or, telling someone your life can be better,
Mm-mm.
that doesn't work. We have to show the work behind it. We have to
Exactly.
make it a step-by-step process because otherwise it just feels intangible and fluffy. We got to make it
Yeah.
work.
Oh, complete. Again, I didn't have anybody remotely like you. I
No.
mean, there were
How did you do it?
it was very difficult, very difficult. There were no doctors that I went to or saw that had MS. None. I mean,
Yeah.
just think of this. First of all, from an empathy and compassion and relatability, you already have that in the bag. You're like, I get it. I know. You've lived it. And then you have like the trifecta. You have the other two. You're like, I get that piece. And then
Yeah.
you had the medical piece is just, oh, it's so amazing. No, you truly are doing your soul purpose. And isn't it crazy? It's like, I don't know, that might be getting too woo for you, but we chose this. It was like, oh yeah, I'm going to do bum, 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 bum. You're like, oh, really? But when you are in that flow of like what you're doing right now and you're helping so many people, and like you said, you go from a 7 to a 12, you're like, oh, this is so great. Isn't it so great to help people? So amazing.
Yes. I mean, yeah, my eh, filter I try to use is okay, what would love do? And I know that sounds so
No, it doesn't.
cliche.
No, it doesn't.
But if you're really living that, it's just the answer becomes so clear. What would
It
love
does.
for myself do? What would love for this person do? And it's wild how it usually ends up being the same thing. It sometimes it takes a little explaining or, if somebody may not see it a certain way, but when I really just answer what in this situation, what would love to, it's just makes again, that's a light that is illuminating our path and
Yeah.
can help cut through a lot of the noise.
A lot of the noise. Well, my current coach, she's somatics, and I've done so much work with her. She just did a video, but her whole thing is, which is so true, because there's so much fear out there, but
Hmm.
love dissolves fear.
Yep.
And fear is illness, it's disease, it's chaos, I mean, we didn't even talk about the nervous system. That's the other thing. Let's get the nervous system in check in place, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, especially with a neurological, but it's
Yeah.
and it's easy to get off track because, ding, I don't know if you've heard, I've gotten a bunch of dings on my phone since we've been on this, but we've got so many ding, ding, ding. And I don't even want to ever, if I had the opportunity to live in a smart home, no, thank you, it would
Mhm.
be dinging all the time, right?
Me too. I don't like another thing to break. I don't like,
I want simple.
yeah, I want simple. I tried to buy a car. I'm like, I don't want the like screen. And they're like,
Oh,
ma'am, you can't not have the
not.
screen anymore. I'm like, it's gonna break. It's gonna be another thing to
I know.
replace. I like my old school, but maybe that's the 42-year-old in me.
No, no, no. There's something about just simple. There's something
Yeah.
about yeah, I was just also in another group they were talking about whether you listen and maybe this is probably well part of neuroplasticity, I guess, but listening to a book, audible versus reading the book and
Hmm.
then taking notes on the computer versus writing. And
Yep.
it all goes down to, automation is good for some things, but then it actually does not help our brain.
Yeah. It's totally different how we interact with that thought or that, you know, content. And it's cool. If you're
Right.
having a thought in your head, if you write it down, the chemistry in your brain changes.
It
It
sticks.
changes your relationship with it and it
Yeah.
allows you to see it differently. Yeah, that's a strategy from the playbook called From Mind to Matter.
Oh,
And a
wow.
lot of times it really is just what can I take out of my brain and get out into the real world, saying
Mm.
it, writing it, posting it, an image that can really help us.
Amy, I'm looking at our time and we could talk for 2 hours.
2, 3, 4. Yeah.
We're
Mhm.
gonna do another one.
Let's
We're
do it.
gonna have an Amy
I love it.
series.
I love it.
Thank you again so much. Is there one final thought that you want to leave us with our listeners? I don't know. It might be that they're in that dark time. If there's just one little nugget.
I think that i- the most prevalent emotion I hear from people right now related to health is overwhelm.
Mm,
Where do I start? What do I do? And so trusting that you just need to do one thing right now, starting with one thing. I don't know. I imagine if it's in the show notes, there's a link. I created a quiz
mm,
that you take it at 7 questions. It's 3 minutes and it helps you look at your life, look at your energy, and tells you of these 6 areas that I call the habit hub for autoimmune health, what's maybe my best place to start? What's my lowest hanging fruit for a little bit more energy to start to see some progress and really just trust that result that, set a goal in that area. Set a goal to, if you get food, what is one thing that I just have a feeling that if I was able to do this thing, I could feel better, or movement, or mindset, and stick with it till it happens. And you'll get follow up help and certain podcast resources to help you do that. But that momentum that we create when we can make progress in one area really starts to help calm the overwhelm because when we're overwhelmed, we are not acting at our best and we end up doing nothing. And so
yeah.
I want everybody to start making progress. And so deciding back to your wisdom, deciding to do something different and try something different is sometimes just step one of a beautiful life.
Yeah. Yeah. That's so great. Thank you again so much.
Thank
Thank you
you.
for sharing your story, your wisdom, all your experiences, and your wealth of knowledge. And for all of our listeners, we'll have everything in the show notes where you can reach Amy. She's got a wonderful podcast. I've listened to a bunch. They're amazing. I love that. What is your podcast again? It's the
Autoimmune Health Secrets.
Yes, Autoimmune
Yes.
Health Secrets, Instagram. Are you on Facebook too?
I
Not so
think I
much.
have an account, not so much, but
Yeah, it's more
it would be
Instagram.
Instagram. Yep.
Yeah, Instagram.
Yep.
And then do you have any special offers right now?
If you take the quiz, you'll be on my email list. So
Oh, good.
I like to pour love into email because hey, that's a habit we all have is to be in the inbox. So
Yeah.
pour love into email is fun. And yeah, you can always explore, joining the club on my site and see if it feels right or something to try. And you can schedule a call to talk to me about it first if you want, because I know sometimes it can be a decision and you have personal things and questions to ask. And so,
Yeah,
yeah, I'm available. Just get in touch. You can even
perfect.
reply to any email. It's just me. And you can say, hi, I found you on the
Oh,
Lightkeeper's path. Yeah,
I love that.
love it.
Well, thank you again so much,
Sure.
and we will have you on again because this was great.
Awesome. Awesome. I
Okay.
love it. Thank you so much. Your energy and your intention and your just what you're putting out in the world is so great. I appreciate you.
Oh, thank you, Amy. Likewise. Let's see.